a lot of national reporters, national columnists out there are putting out, hey, I think these players are going to be able to break out, but they're looking at it from a national lens. They're looking at, I like to call it, they're looking at it from a Heisman or an All-American type of lens that could maybe break out into that level. So they're looking at the Dante Moores of the world, maybe the Evan Stewarts of the world, and, those types of guys. But I wanted to take a little bit of a deeper, we know those guys. We know Amari Washington is going to step up into a bigger role at the defensive tackle. I wanted to take a little bit more of a deep dive. Maybe lesser known Oregon Ducks that I think could break out and break through and play some significant roles for Oregon this upcoming season. I want to start first on the offensive side of the ball. The wide receiver 3 battle is going to be one of the biggest battles in spring practice and as we head into fall camp and eventually the regular season. I've talked about that many times before. I think one of the leaders in the room for that battle is Kyler Casper. 6'6" Kyler Casper. The guy, when you throw it around him, he can catch just about anything. Kyler Casper. He played 117 snaps in 2023. And Junior Adams, now former wide receivers coach Junior Adams last spring, said Casper was making some big strides. And, of course, he got hurt early on during the 2024 season. And, I kind of watched some, I watched the Idaho game and I watched some early season action that Kyler Casper was in for. And, when you had Trayshawn Holden go out in the Ohio State game, when you had Tez Johnson go down to injury, it was Justice Lowe that stepped up fairly consistently into that role last year. I think if Kyler Casper would have been healthy, I think it would have been more of maybe those two. You would have seen a lot more, I think, of Casper this past season. I think his skill set, I think his frame is different. And it mostly goes to do with his size, with his length at that position. And I think it just provides something a little bit different. It's nice to be able to have that size, certainly outside on the boundary. Like when you look at Decorian Moore and you look at Evan Stewart, I mean, they're fast as all hell, right? We all know that. And they're a little bit smaller, of course, compared to Kyler. So I think it's good to have a little bit of a different skill set, certainly on the outside. And I think I lean towards him. I lean towards I've talked about Jeremiah McClellan, Justice Lowe kind of coming out of the slot, Malik Benson, the transfer, coming over as well. Those are the guys that I generally like to lean towards at the wide receiver position. And the more I look into it, I really like Kyler Casper and Jeremiah McClellan to really stand out that position, specifically the uniqueness of Kyler compared to some of these other wide receivers in this battle and in this room. Let's head to the defensive side of the football. I am putting my money down, and I'm making a purchase. I'm buying Blake. 6'3", 260 pounds, outside linebacker, edge type of position. Now, he has the third most returning snaps at outside linebacker and edge coming back. He's got 40 snaps from last year, but he got on the field a lot as a freshman in 2023. He played in all 14 games, 179 defensive snaps, 10 pressures, and 4 hurries. He really showed a lot of promise in that 2023 season. Now, he didn't get on the field as much as expected. You had Amari and Winston, you had Jaden Moore at that type of position. Now, those two guys are out, and I think this is the year where you're really going to see the talent of Blake Purchase, where it started to flash a little bit in 2023. I think it's going to come on full bore possibly this season. I'm expecting him and Elijah Rushing to really be the two guys that are going to step up at that position. And when you compare it to the two people that are departing, I think you're going to see an upgrade at this specific position over there. Of course, the Jack outside linebacker, Tatum Tuioti, is the main guy in this room. But I think you're going to see these guys rotate in a lot, specifically in pass rushing situations. Get him into third and medium. Get him into third and long. Let's bring in Blake Purchase and let's buy ourselves a sack. I'm really excited about what Blake Purchase can do in an increased role this season. And when Tosh Lupoi talks about Blake Purchase's future, it's not just his Oregon future. He talks about his NFL future as well. That's how much that they believe in Blake, that he can really take it to the next level. Let's stay on the defensive side of the ball. How about Peyton Woodyard over at safety? There's going to be a lot of maybe question marks and battles in the secondary, but I think the more time that goes by, the more confident I am that Peyton Woodyard is going to be the safety that's going to plug in right next to Dylan Thieneman. Peyton, 6'2", 205 pounds, and I say it all the time, but it is really hard to come into a place like Oregon and play right away. It is like you see a bunch of 4-star players. You see a bunch of really good recruits, really good prospects, really good players, redshirt. Play less than the 4 or 5 games, whatever the rule is right now. But Peyton Woodyard got in, and he saw a good amount of time last season playing behind very experienced players in Tysheem Johnson and Kobe Savage. 58 total snaps, 35 at free safety. I know that might not seem like a lot, but he did record tackles in 5 games last season. I think he's going to be able to learn a lot playing next to a guy like Dylan Thieneman, a 2-time all Big Ten selection. I think that's going to be a really good group. You know, I think a lot of people during this season are going to game plan for him. We got to know where Dylan Thieneman is on the field. Is he an extra guy creeping into the box? Where is he playing in the deep third? We got to know all of that. I think that's going to allow Peyton Woodyard to maybe be a guy that's going to be able to make more plays, whether it's coming in run support, whether it's going in and playing in some of these coverages on the back end and making a play, maybe creating a turnover. I think Peyton Woodyard is that guy. Like, he was a 4-star, top 100, top 100, 120 type of kid coming out of high school. When I look at what's departing in Tysheem Johnson and Kobe Savage, and I look at Thieneman and Woodyard coming in, I think that's going to be a big upgrade at the safety position, and we know that's a position that has needed to be upgraded for the Oregon Ducks.